Welcome back to History Uncovered. I'm Alex, your host, ready to continue our exploration of the Bay of Pigs invasion.
And I'm Jordan. In our last episode, we covered the chaotic events of the invasion itself. Today, we'll discuss the reactions in the U.S. and how the failure of Operation Zapata transformed American foreign policy towards Cuba.
Exactly, Jordan. The fallout from the invasion was profound, affecting not just the Kennedy administration, but also shaping U.S.-Cuba relations for years to come. Let's dive into the reactions back home.
Harvard student Todd Gitlin, who later became a prominent radical, noted that the Bay of Pigs was more than just a military failure. It was a personal affront to the Kennedy administration.
Gitlin remarked that to many at Harvard, the invasion represented a breach of trust. The New York Times editorialized that the U.S. looked foolish, rascally, and incompetent.
Mac Bundy, a key advisor, admitted he underestimated the cost of failure. Meanwhile, during an off-the-record briefing, Kennedy humorously remarked that he enjoyed the presidency more before the invasion.
This moment of levity masked the serious implications of the failure. Kennedy was feeling the pressure and scrutiny from both the public and his advisors.
Following the invasion, Allen Dulles, the CIA director, attempted to shift blame to the military for the failure to hold the beachhead. He insisted that the intelligence was sound.
However, this blame game did little to absolve the administration of its responsibility. A secret report commissioned by the White House ultimately exonerated Kennedy, but criticized the CIA's execution of the operation.
Before the invasion, the Kennedy administration had no strong feelings about Cuba. But the embarrassment transformed them into staunch opponents of Castro.
Robert F. Kennedy took a leading role in shaping U.S. policy toward Cuba, urging his brother to take decisive action against Castro, fearing that the situation would worsen.
In late 1961, JFK signed a top-secret order authorizing the CIA to support efforts to overthrow Castro. This led to the establishment of Task Force W and Operation Mongoose.
Robert Kennedy was put in charge of overseeing these operations, which reflected how personal the confrontation with Castro had become for the administration.
In August 1961, Che Guevara proposed a deal to the U.S., suggesting that Cuba would distance itself from Moscow in exchange for recognition and compensation.
However, the Kennedy administration ignored this olive branch, reflecting a hardened stance against any form of rapprochement with Castro.
By January 1962, Robert Kennedy declared regime change in Cuba as a top foreign policy objective. Yet CIA efforts to create an underground resistance were largely ineffective.
Richard Helms, a CIA officer, later admitted that their sabotage efforts were merely pinpricks and that the idea of a viable underground resistance was unrealistic.
The day after the Bay of Pigs failure, Kennedy reflected on the lessons learned from the operation, comparing it to Britain's trauma following the Suez Crisis.
He recognized that the U.S. could not afford a similar humiliation, especially given its dominant position in the world.
Despite the failure, Kennedy's approval ratings soared. The American public seemed to support any attempt to topple Castro, viewing the invasion as a noble cause.
This paradox highlights the complexities of public opinion during the Cold War, where anti-communist sentiment often overshadowed the realities of military engagement.
The Bay of Pigs invasion marked a turning point in U.S.-Cuba relations, setting the stage for future conflicts, including the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Kennedy's obsession with Cuba would define much of his foreign policy, as he sought to counteract the perceived threat of communism just 90 miles off the U.S. coast.
Operation Zapata remains a significant event in U.S. history, illustrating the dangers of miscalculating military interventions and the complexities of international politics.
Join us next time on History Uncovered as we explore the Cuban Missile Crisis and its implications for the Cold War. Thanks for listening.
Stay curious and keep exploring history with us.
See you next time.